Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things. Today is the first Sunday in April, which means it is time for another small Booktuber Sunday. So if you don't know what this is, I'll link the previous two down below, but basically what I do now is on the first Sunday of every month I shout out 10 smaller booktube channels that I really enjoy. So channels with roughly under 2,000 subscribers. First I want to mention Annie from Bloom TV. Annie is brilliant on classics. She loves Jane Austen, she likes 19th century literature, she likes 20th century classics, and she has a lot of wonderful things to say about them. She's also great on television adaptations of classics as well, which is something I really enjoy. She's a student, she's at university, and I like the kind of analytical spin that she gives to a lot of the books she talks about, especially when she's been studying them. But it does also mean that her videos are not that regular because she doesn't always upload that much in term time. So if you go over to her channel and you're like, oh, she hasn't uploaded for a while, do still subscribe to her anyway, please, because she's great and her videos are always worth the wait, and I always am very excited when her videos go up. I will link a couple of her videos down below. I will link down the beginning of her Translating Austen series where she talks about Jane Austen and Jane Austen's relationship with the modern day. I'll also link down below her video on her Penguin Black Spine collection where she goes through all the Penguin Black Spines that she owns, and I'll also link down below a recent wrap-up as well so you can get a sense of her general reading taste. Next I want to mention Jenna, another booktuber who I really love and have been watching for a fair while. She has quite broad taste in books, but in general I would say she enjoys literary fiction and more, and also she lives in Wales and recently has started getting into Welsh fiction. She's also interested in literature around World War I as well. I really enjoy her channel. It's chatty and easy and really enjoyable, and she always has interesting things to say about books. I'll link a couple of her videos down below. I'll link down below, I guess, a recent wrap-up and maybe her favourite books of 2017. And I'll also link down below one of the book reviews she did when she was reviewing some of the Man Booker books last year, because I found them really interesting, and interesting to see her opinions on literary fiction. Next I want to mention Kate from the novel Nomad. Kate is someone I watched on and off for a while before sort of properly getting into her channel, but I really love her videos so much. She has quite wide-ranging taste in books, but a lot of which is quite similar to me. She enjoys classics, she enjoys historical fiction, and she also enjoys sort of romances and mystery novels as well. She loves mysteries a lot. Kate is from Australia and I often hear her talk about books that I haven't heard about in the UK before as well, which is something I really enjoy. So I will link down below a couple of videos of hers that I've really enjoyed lately. I will link down below her favourite books of 2017, and I'm also going to link down below her recent TBR for all the Japanese literature she wants to read. I love Japanese literature. Japanese literature is something I really enjoy and don't read as much of as I used to and would like to read more of, and Kate is going to Japan quite soon, so she made a video about all the Japanese literature that she wants to read sort of before she goes to Japan, and it was a brilliant video and I got lots of good recommendations from it, so I'd highly recommend that. And I'm also going to link down below a video, I think it was a top 5 Wednesday, where she did sort of the top books you disliked but love to discuss, which I found really interesting to watch, because I feel like there are quite a lot of books that I don't like that I really like talking about. So yeah, that's a great video as well, and I'll link it down below. Next I want to mention Victoria from Eve's Alexandria. Victoria is a really brilliant booktuber who I really enjoy, and she does a very good blend, I think, of being very analytical and having a lot of very smart things to say that I would not think of, with also having a very accessible channel that's really easy and enjoyable to watch. She has quite broad taste, but she enjoys literary fiction, science fiction, sort of general fiction, and some classics as well, which I always enjoy. And in the last sort of year she also sort of reread some of her old childhood favourites, which was really interesting to hear about. She hasn't been posting that much recently because I know she recently got a new job which sort of limits her booktube time, but I'm sure she will be back, and I would definitely recommend going and subscribing to her channel. I'll link down below her favourite books of 2017 and also a few individual book reviews, because I really love her book reviews and I think they're always very well done. The next person I want to mention actually has 2 channels, and that is Gemma from Nonfic Books and also Whiskey and Woodhouse. So on her channel Nonfic Books, which is much older, she talks about non-fiction books, and on her channel Whiskey and Woodhouse, which she created in sort of October, mostly to join in with Victober, is where she talks about her fiction reads. I really love both of her channels and they're both fascinating. I found her through Whiskey and Woodhouse, although that was the later one, and after that realised how much I liked her content and started watching her non-fiction channel as well, which I hadn't gravitated towards immediately because I don't read as much non-fiction, but actually it's brilliant and I've got a lot of very good recommendations from her, and I really love hearing her talk about non-fiction as well as hearing her talk about the fiction that she loves, and she made some great videos back in Booktober. I'll link down below her video on Sylvia's Lovers by Elizabeth Gaskell, because that was a wonderful review. And I'm also going to link down below from her non-fiction channel a video she made in non-fiction November on sort of where to start with non-fiction, and also a few videos about her history book club which she runs, which I keep meaning to join in with and kind of missing the book, which is something I find really interesting and have enjoyed watching the videos of even when I'm not taking part. So Gemma is someone I definitely highly recommend, and I will link down below both of her different channels. And I also want to mention Big Al Books, a channel I just love so much. She is so great, so entertaining to watch. So Al is also a teacher at school, which is something I find quite interesting, and I really like hearing her talk about the books that she has to teach and how having to teach them affects her relationship with the books, or means that she reads books she wouldn't have to read normally, and how she feels about that. I spoke about this in a recent wrap-up, which I'll link down below, and I'll also link down below a few of her videos where she talks about sort of 5 different things or 5 different books. So one video she made in Booktuber, which I loved, was her 5 favourite Victorian authors, and another one a bit later she made was on 5 long books with dysfunctional families, which sounds quite random but was a really enjoyable video. She has a brilliant taste in books, likes classics and literary fiction and a wide range, and in general just her channel is one I always love to watch. I also want to mention Afterbattle. I feel like I've been watching her since fairly near the beginning of her channel, and she's a booktuber I really enjoy. She has a very broad taste. She is American and lives in Japan, so reads quite a lot of Japanese literature, which, as I mentioned earlier, is something I'm interested in, but also reads a mix of sort of YA and modern general literary fiction, which is something I like too. I will link down below one of her recent wrap-ups and probably her best books of 2017, so you can get a sense of her wide reading taste. She also really enjoys LGBTQ+ fiction specifically, which she talks about in her best books of 2017 as well. Another thing I really like about Kat's channel is that she writes, and she talks about writing on her channel, which as someone who writes is something I always really enjoy. I will link down below one of her vlogs from when she did NaNoWriMo last year, which made me jealous and really wish that I was doing NaNoWriMo, so I'm probably going to do NaNoWriMo this year. And I pretty much blame Catadactyl and Sylvia Kay on BookTube for making me miss NaNoWriMo a lot. I also want to mention Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventures, booktuber who I really enjoy. There are so many things I like about her channel. She makes quite long chatty videos, which I always enjoy watching. She also runs a Read Around the World book club, another book club where I'm like on the Goodreads group, always mean to join in and somewhat fail to do so. But anyway, basically the idea is that you read a book from a different country every month, which I think is a really lovely idea. She also makes very regular sort of Friday reads and weekly wrap-up videos, which I really enjoy as well. I will link down below one of her recent Friday videos and also her recent Future Classics tag, which I really enjoyed. And also recently she made a review of a non-fiction book called Black and British, which was a brilliant review, and I'd highly recommend going to watch that too, so I'll link that down below. Next I want to mention Mericon from the Bookish Land. I think I discovered her videos probably back in October, maybe a little bit longer ago than that, and I really enjoy her channel. She likes classics as well as more modern literature. She's currently reading a lot of books that have been longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction, so I'll link down one of her reviews on that down below. Another thing I'll link down below, which I really love, is her series on Chinese literature, because I know nothing about Chinese literature, but I do know a bit about Chinese history. I did a module on Chinese history at university, which I really liked, and Nick, my boyfriend, did a lot of Chinese history at university. It was one of the things he specialised in and found really interesting, so I've been really enjoying her videos on Chinese literature, finding out more about it and sort of making a list of books that I would like to read. She is Chinese, but currently living in America, and talks brilliantly and really interestingly about a lot of Chinese literature that she would recommend, including a lot of Chinese classics, which I'm hoping to get to at some point in the future. Another video on classics, so a Western classic that she did recently that I really enjoyed, was her discussion on Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own, so I think I'll link that down below as well, because I think that's a good place to start with her channel too. And finally, I want to mention Dave from Wilde Reads, who is a booktuber I really enjoy. He's very easy to watch, always engaging and funny, and I would say he has overlapping taste with me. So he likes literary fiction and historical fiction, but also likes sort of crime and thrillers slightly more than I do, I would say. But I really enjoy his channel, and I think he has a lot of really interesting content. Two of the things I really love that he does on his channel are sort of regular series. One is a series called Looking Back at the Booker, where he takes a year in the history of the Man Booker Prize and looks at what was shortlisted, what won, and whether these books are still around today, which is really interesting. And I've also loved every month he does 6 new books to look out for in whatever month, talking about a few new releases that are coming out this month, which is wonderful, and not just like really engaging and interesting, but also so useful. I work in publishing, and it is hard to keep on top of the market and to follow what books are coming out. I read the bookseller a lot, but sometimes it is hard to take all of that in. And one of the things I love about BookTube is that it does help me stay quite aware of the book market. I found Dave's videos on the new releases really helpful and interesting as well. So I'll link those two series down below and maybe a recent wrap up as well. There we have it. Those are the 10 booktubers I wanted to talk to you about today. Please let me know down in the comments if you have any smaller booktubers you would like to recommend me, and I will be back very soon with another bookish video.